I overheard my mom and brother plotting to kick me and my 5-month-old daughter out of the house right after Thanksgiving dinner. The next day, she called voice dripping with fake warmth. "Don't forget Thanksgiving, honey. We can't wait to see you and the baby." I said, calm as ice. "Oh, I wouldn't miss it. I'll bring you a surprise you'll never forget." My name is Morgan Taylor. I'm 28, single mom to Ren. I build my graphic design business from my small Tempe apartment, the one my family in Paradise Valley calls playing pretend. They never forgave me for getting pregnant out of wedlock. They call Ren a mistake. This year, with relatives flying in, I thought they'd finally act like family. But I overheard the truth. They weren't planning Thanksgiving. They were planning to throw us out on the street the second the table was cleared. If you've ever been stabbed in the back by the people who are supposed to love you most, smash that like button, subscribe right now because part 2 is going to be insane. And tell me below, what would you do if your own mom did this to you and your baby? The Taylor home in Paradise Valley was all about appearances. My father, Dale Taylor, owned a chain of high-end car dealerships across the Phoenix area. He was the quiet type, the kind of man who let his success speak for itself, and always backed whatever my mother decided no matter what. My father, Dale Taylor, owned a chain of high-end car dealerships across the Phoenix area. He was the quiet type, the kind of man who let his success speak for itself, and always backed whatever my mother decided no matter what. My mother, Marilyn Taylor, ran the social scene like it was her full-time job. Charity boards, country club lunches, perfectly timed Instagram posts. She made sure everyone in Paradise Valley knew the Taylors were the family to envy. Then there was my brother, Landon Taylor, 32, vice president at a private equity firm in Scottsdale. He tracked every dollar like it might run away if he blinked, and he never let anyone forget he was the one who made smart choices. My sister, Avery Taylor, 30, worked as a corporate attorney downtown. She was already engaged to a surgeon's son, the ring big enough to need its own zip code, everything planned down to the floral arrangements. And me, the permanent disappointment. I was supposed to follow the script, finish at ASU, go to law school or business school, marry well, join the right clubs. Instead, halfway through college, I discovered graphic design and knew instantly it was what I was meant to do. I dropped out, taught myself everything, built a portfolio, started taking freelance gigs. By 25, I was making real money enough to support myself without a single dime from them. Then I got pregnant. The father bailed the second I showed him the test. I kept the baby. Ren arrived 5 months ago, and my family acted like I'd personally burned the family crest. Mom stopped sending birthday cards and started sending listings for respectable secretarial programs. Dad just stopped talking to me altogether for months. Landon offered to review my finances every time I saw him, like I was one bad month from living under a bridge. Avery sent me job postings for paralegals with notes like, "This could be a fresh start, think of the baby." Every holiday dinner became an interrogation. "Thanksgiving's coming up," Mom would say, smiling for the guests. Then the second we were alone, "When are you going to stop this nonsense and get a real job? Ren deserves better than growing up in that shoebox apartment." Or Landon, "You're almost 30, Morgan. Time to grow up. That little hobby of yours isn't going to pay for college." Even Dad, in his rare moments of speech, "We're worried about your future, kiddo," right before handing me a brochure for community college business courses. They never asked to hold Ren. They never asked how I was doing. They only saw shame. This year, Mom had been planning Thanksgiving since Labor Day. Relatives flying in from California, caterers booked the whole production. She kept texting, "We need to show a united front this year, honey. Everyone's coming." I thought maybe with Ren here, things might soften. I was wrong. They weren't planning a family dinner. They were planning an execution. The week before Thanksgiving, I decided to arrive early on Tuesday to help Mom. The first time bringing Ren along, thinking Grandma Vera was flying in soon. The villa sprawled across a manicured lot with desert views, its Thanksgiving decor all polished excess gilded pumpkins lining the driveway, silk leaves draped over the entryway chandelier, and a massive floral centerpiece that screamed magazine cover but felt hollow, like everything else in that house. Maria Gonzalez, our housekeeper who'd been with the family for 15 years, swung the door open with her usual warm smile. She scooped Wren from my arms before I could say hello. "Oh, look at this little angel Miss Marilyn's in the kitchen. She's buzzing today because of her great-grandbaby." I managed a laugh as Maria cooed over Wren's chubby cheeks, bouncing her gently. Mom appeared from the hallway, then her face lighting up in that practiced way for company. "Morgan, darling. You're here early. Give me that sweet granddaughter. She's getting so big." She took Wren from Maria, planting a kiss on her forehead. "Maria, could you check on the caterer's delivery? We need those linens perfect." Maria nodded and headed off, still beaming. The second she turned the corner, Mom's smile faded. She handed Wren back like she was holding a package. "Next time, leave her with a sitter if you must come early. I had to tell Mrs. Sullivan the baby was an accident. Don't make noise around the guests. This party's important." I swallowed hard, my throat tight, and carried Wren upstairs to my old room without a word. The space hadn't changed much. Same queen bed, same neutral walls, but now it felt foreign. Wren started fussing almost immediately, her tiny face scrunching up in the unfamiliar air. I rocked her for a bit, but she needed milk warmed up. "Shh, baby, Mommy's got you," I whispered, heading down to the kitchen. As I passed Dad's study, voices drifted out. The door ajar, probably from Avery grabbing something earlier. Mom was on speakerphone with the family lawyer, her tone sharp and businesslike. Landon and Avery were in there too. I could hear Landon's chair creak. "So the offer came in this morning," Landon said, his voice excited. "2.5 million above asking. We close fast, split the proceeds 3 ways after taxes." Mom laughed, that cold edge I knew too well. "Perfect. We'll announce after dessert on Thursday. Start with the good news, house sold, fresh start for everyone. Then tell Morgan she and the kid need to find their own place. This isn't a hotel for her mistakes anymore." Avery chimed in, her lawyer voice flat. "I've got the 30-day notice drafted right here on my iPad. Standard eviction language, but tailored non-payment of rent equivalent given we've covered utilities all these years. If she fights, we cite the lifestyle clause. Unstable environment for a minor." The lawyer's voice crackled through the speaker. "Solid. Family homes are tricky, but with the notice and sale pending, courts side with sellers 90% of the time. No judge wants to delay a multi-million deal over sentiment." Mom cut in. "Exactly. She's had years to get her act together. Dropping out of ASU for that silly drawing gig, then showing up pregnant. We're doing her a favor. Tough love to make her grow up." Landon snorted. "And if she drags her feet, we change the locks Friday morning. The kid can go to child services if needed. Better than growing up with a mom who can't even afford daycare." My blood ran cold. Wren whimpered in my arms, sensing my tension. I backed away, silently, heart pounding, and slipped into the kitchen to grab the bottle. Their words echoed: eviction, child services, split proceeds. This wasn't concern. This was erasure timed for maximum humiliation in front of the whole extended family. Back in the room, I fed Wren, her little hands clutching the bottle as if nothing was wrong. But everything was. They weren't just selling the house. They were selling me out, treating Wren like collateral damage. I stared at the custom-framed prints I'd brought as gifts, one for each of them designed with personal touches from our shared past. Hours of work poured into symbols of love they clearly didn't return. The plan crystallized in my mind as Wren drifted off. I couldn't stay another minute under that roof. I stood frozen outside the door, my hand shaking so bad I dropped the milk bottle. It hit the hardwood with a dull thud, but no one inside Dad's study noticed. Their voices kept going. Mom's cold laugh. Landon's smug calculations, Avery's legal jargon. The words child services sliced through me like a blade. They weren't just planning to sell the house. They wanted to erase Ren and me to hand my baby over to strangers if I didn't comply. I scooped up the bottle and backed away, my legs moving on autopilot. Upstairs, Ren was crying in the crib I'd set up in my old room, her little fists waving. I shut the door softly and sank to the floor, pulling her into my arms. Her sobs quieted as I rocked her, but my mind was screaming. Child services. Foster care. They thought Ren was better off without me. My own family. For 10 minutes, I sat there clutching her, debating whether to storm back down and confront them. I could picture it barging in, demanding answers, watching Mom's fake smile crumble. But then I heard her voice outside, chatting with Maria in that syrupy tone. "Oh, Morgan's doing fine, bless her heart. She'll come around this time, I'm sure." The lie was so smooth, so calculated. Confronting them now would just give them the stage to twist it, to make me the irrational one in front of the whole family on Thursday. They'd win before I even started. I had to get out. Ren fell asleep after her bottle, her tiny chest rising and falling in my arms. I packed her diaper bag with trembling hands, grabbing only what we needed: her blanket, a change of clothes, my wallet. The custom prints I'd brought as gifts stayed on the dresser, their frames mocking me. Hours of work for people who'd already written me off. By midnight, I was buckling Ren into her car seat in the driveway, the desert air chilly against my skin. The villa's lights glowed behind me, but no one came out. They probably didn't even notice I was gone. I drove back to Tempe in silence, the highway empty at 1 in the morning. Ren slept the whole way, oblivious to the storm inside me. When I pulled into my apartment's parking lot, my hands were still shaking. I dialed Finley from the car, my voice breaking before I could get a word out. "Morgan." "What's wrong?" She answered instantly, awake. Can you just come down? I'm outside with Ren." She was at my car in 2 minutes, her husband Jason trailing behind with a blanket. Finley didn't ask questions, just opened the door, unbuckled Ren, and carried her upstairs, while Jason grabbed the diaper bag. Inside their apartment, I collapsed onto the couch, tears spilling over. Finley sat next to me, Ren cradled in her lap. "Talk when you're ready," she said softly. It took a few minutes to choke out what I'd heard: the eviction, the house sale, the threat to take Ren away. Finley's face hardened, but she stayed quiet, letting me get it all out. Jason brought me water, his jaw tight. "They can't do that," he said. "Not legally. Not to you or her." I wasn't so sure. My savings were down to the last few $1,000s. I'd been counting on a big contract from an LA agency, a full branding campaign for their spring 2026 launch. I opened my laptop on Finley's coffee table, hands still unsteady, and checked my email. There, it was: a pre-approval notice from the agency glowing about my portfolio, but the final contract wouldn't be signed until after Thanksgiving. The money wasn't in my account yet, and until it was, I was scraping by on fumes. One wrong move, and I could lose everything, Ren included. Finley put a hand on my shoulder. "You're not alone in this, okay? You've built something real. That agency deal. That's not a fluke. You're good, Morgan. They're just too blind to see it." I looked at Ren, asleep in her arms, and felt a flicker of clarity through the panic. My family thought I was nothing without them. But I'd been surviving without their help for years. I'd built a business, a life, a home for my daughter. They wanted to break me on Thanksgiving, but I wasn't going to let them. The next morning, I knew what I had to do. 2 days later, I met Dr. Elena Ramirez for the first time in my life. She came highly recommended by a freelance colleague who dealt with her own family mess. The office was in a quiet Scottsdale strip mall, neutral tones and plants that were supposed to calm you down. I sat on the edge of the couch, Ren in her carrier at my feet, playing with a rattle. Dr. Ramirez, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense clipboard, leaned forward. "Start from the beginning, Morgan. What brought you here so urgently?" I spilled it all: the eavesdropped conversation at the eviction plot, the house sale, the casual mention of child services. My voice cracked on that part. She listened without interrupting, jotting notes occasionally. When I finished, she set the clipboard aside. What you've described is classic emotional and financial abuse. Families like yours often mask control as concern, threatening to involve authorities over your child. That's manipulation at its worst. I nodded, wiping my eyes. They act like I'm the problem, like Ren's existence ruins their perfect image, but I've built my life without them. Why does it still hurt so much? Because blood ties run deep, she said gently. But recognizing the toxicity is the first step. You're not overreacting. You're protecting yourself and your daughter. Now let's talk strategy. Healthy boundaries start with action. We spent the hour unpacking patterns: Mom's public facade versus private digs, Landon's financial judgments, Avery's legal threats. Dr. Ramirez suggested journaling triggers, but more practically documenting everything for potential custody battles. You're a capable mother, she said. Focus on that strength. That session shifted something in me. I left with a list of resources: books on narcissistic family dynamics, a hotline for single moms facing housing threats. More importantly, I had clarity. No more shrinking to fit their narrative. It was time to counter smart and deliberate, just like I'd built my business. Back at the apartment, Ren napped while I fired up my laptop. The LA agency's email sat in my inbox, the pre-approval glowing like a lifeline. "We're thrilled with your concepts," it read. "Sign digitally by Friday to lock in the spring campaign, first payment upon execution." I didn't hesitate. I clicked through the DocuSign link, initialed every page, and hit submit before the doubt could creep in. The confirmation pinged back immediately: contract active. It wasn't cash in hand yet, but it meant stability enough to cover a bigger space if needed, or even legal fees. Next, I texted Finley. "Need a favor, know any good lawyers for family disputes?" She called back in minutes. "My cousin's a tenant rights specialist. What's up?" I filled her in briefly. By evening, her cousin had drafted a certified letter, formal demand for access to my personal belongings left in the house, plus a clear statement invoking Arizona tenant laws. Even in family rentals, it read, eviction requires 30 days notice and due process, no shortcuts. I printed it, notarized it at a UPS store, and scheduled overnight mail. Then the gifts. I'd already designed the framed prints weeks ago, each one tailored. For Landon, a sleek financial chart stylized from our childhood Monopoly games. For Avery, a courtroom sketch with hidden family Easter eggs. For Dad, a vintage car blueprint nodding to his dealerships. But Mom's, I tweaked it that night. The original family portrait from 10 years ago, but now with Ren and me faded into the background, almost ghosts. The message was subtle but sharp: "You've already erased us." I wrapped them in premium paper labels attached with brief notes, polite but final. Finley swung by later with takeout. "Jason and I talked. You need a break from that poison. Our Flagstaff cabin's free this weekend. Fireplace, hot tub, the works. Bring Ren. We'll make it a real Thanksgiving." I hugged her. "You're a lifesaver. Mind if I invite a few more? Alex from my design group, Nicole the photographer, Ryan, the web dev guy. They've been my rock through all this." She grinned. "The more the merrier. I'll stock the fridge." That night, I group texted them, "Impromptu getaway to Flagstaff for Turkey Day." No drama, just good food and better company. In replies, flooded in Yace's emojis, offers to bring pies and wine. For the first time since Tuesday, I felt a spark of control. My family thought they could ambush me, but I was steps ahead, building my own safety net. Thanksgiving Eve. I sat in the apartment wrapping gifts, Ren sleeping soundly beside me. The sun had dipped low over Tempe, casting long shadows through the blinds. My phone buzzed at 6 p.m. Sharp Mom's name on the screen. I answered, keeping my tone even. "Hello, Morgan, honey," she said, her voice laced with that artificial sweetness, guests murmuring in the background. "Don't be late tomorrow. Grandma Vera just landed and everyone's asking about you and the baby. We can't wait to have the whole family together." I glanced at the packages, each one sealed with care. I won't forget Mom. In fact, I've got a surprise for everyone that'll make the night unforgettable. She chuckled lightly, probably for the audience. Sounds lovely, dear. See you bright and early. The call ended, her words hanging like a noose. By 7:30, the high-end delivery service I'd hired confirmed arrival. I'd timed it perfectly right during their pre-dinner photo session, the one Mom always orchestrated with professional lighting. The driver texted, "Packages handed to a woman matching your description of Marilyn." She signed. I could picture it, the doorbell interrupting Pose's mom, accepting the boxes with her polite host smile, assuming they were early contributions from relatives. She'd open the certified letter first, perhaps out of curiosity, right in front of Grandma Vera and the gathering crowd. The phone rang again at 7:45. Mom's number. I let it go to voicemail once, then picked up on the second try. Her voice exploded through the speaker. "What the hell is this? Morgan legal papers in front of everyone." I leaned back against the couch, Ren stirring slightly but staying asleep. "You mean the tenant rights notice, or the eviction demand I beat you to? You little—" She hissed, her composure shattered. "How dare you spy on us and send this garbage?" Vera's furious, demanding explanations. "You've ruined the entire evening." "Good." I said, my pulse steady for the first time in days. "Now you know how it feels. I heard every word. Landon's big sale offer, your announcement after dessert, Avery's 30-day notice trick, and the part about handing Ren to child services if I don't vanish quietly. That's not tough love, Mom. That's cruelty." The line went silent for a beat, then she sputtered. "We were trying to help you. Your life's a mess, dropping out that freelance nonsense, showing up with a baby and no ring. We're selling to give you a wake-up call to force you to stand on your own." I laughed, bitter and low. "Stand on my own? I've done that since you cut me off. Paid my rent, built my clients, raised Ren without a penny from you. This isn't help. It's control. You want the money split 3 ways, erasing me because I don't fit your Paradise Valley postcard." Vera's voice cut in faintly from the background. "Marilyn, what is she talking about?" Mom shushed her, but the damage was done. "You're overreacting," Mom snapped. "Come tomorrow and we'll talk like adults. The family's waiting." "No," I said firmly. "We're done. Ren and I aren't part of this anymore. Don't contact us again." I blocked her number. Then Landon's, Avery's, Dad's, every Taylor line in my contacts. The silence that followed felt like freedom, heavy but clean. The prints, they'd unwrapped those too, each one a quiet goodbye. Landon's financial graph twisted into a maze with no exit. Avery's courtroom scene figures blurred in shadow. Dad's car design wheels spinning in place. And Mom's faded portrait, us vanishing just like she'd planned. I tucked Ren into her crib, her breathing even and peaceful. The delivery app pinged a final confirmation: all items received. No turning back now. Thanksgiving morning, I drove up to Flagstaff as light snow fell, Ren's first time seeing it. The flakes dusted the windshield like powdered sugar, and Ren's eyes widened from her car seat, her tiny fingers reaching out as if to catch them. The 2-hour drive from Tempe cleared my head, the desert giving way to pine forests and crisp air. By the time I pulled up to the cabin, a cozy A-frame with wooden beams and a wraparound porch, my chosen family was already there. Finley spotted us first, waving from the doorway with Jason beside her, grill smoke curling up behind them. "You made it. Let me get that little snow bunny." She unbuckled Ren and lifted her high, making silly faces that drew giggles. Alex Turner arrived next, hauling a cooler of craft beers. "Brought the good stuff. No family drama required." Nicole Evans set up her camera tripod near the fire pit. "Gonna capture this for your portfolio, Morgan? Real joy looks better than any stock photo." Ryan Brooks manned the outdoor turkey roaster, basting it with herbs. First time grilling in snow, Arizona style. We settled in quickly. The cabin's interior glowed with string lights. Finley had hung a stone fireplace crackling with fresh logs. No one mentioned my blood relatives. Instead, Conversations flowed about design trends. Alex was chasing Nicole's latest shoot in Sedona Ryan's new app prototype. Jason tossed a ball for Wren to chase on the rug, her laughter echoing. Finley passed her around like a treasured prize, everyone cooing over her first snow experience. We ate casual turkey slices on fresh roll sides from everyone's contributions. Wine poured freely around the pit as dusk fell. It felt genuine, no forced poses or judgments. My phone vibrated intermittently, pulling me from the warmth. The first was a video call from Grandma Vera. I stepped onto the porch to answer. Her face filled the screen red with anger, the villa's chaos visible behind her. Morgan. I just smashed my wine glass right at your mother's feet. Told her to get out of my will if she thinks she can treat you like trash. I'm booking a flight to you next week. We'll sort this properly. I blinked, stunned. Grandma, you didn't have to, you... Hush, child, I heard enough. That woman's crossed every line. She hung up, leaving me staring at the snowy trees. Next text from Aunt Hazel. I can't believe my sister went this far. So cruel. I'm sorry, sweetie, didn't know the half of it. More notifications piled up, cousins expressing shock, and uncle offering temporary guest room if needed. But the real fallout unfolded in snippets from a family friend still at the villa dinner had imploded. Guests arrived to tension thick as fog. Mom tried salvaging with toasts, but Vera confronted her mid-appetizer, voice booming about the letter and plot. Landon jumped in, arguing it was for Morgan's own good, only for Vera to shut him down. Good, you're vultures circling your own kin. Half the relatives left before the main course, muttering about the ugliness. Dad sat silent. Avery fumed in a corner. The catered spread went untouched, the evening ending in awkward departures. Back inside, I shared bits with the group over s'mores. Finley squeezed my hand. See, truth has a way of biting back. Alex raised a glass. To real family, the ones who show up. Nicole snapped a photo of Wren bundled in blankets. Ryan nodded. You've got us. Always. As night deepened, snow blanketing the ground, Wren dozed in my lap by the fire. For once, the holiday meant peace, not performance. 7 months later, my studio in Old Town Scottsdale had 4 full-time employees. 7 months later, my studio in Old Town Scottsdale had 4 full-time employees. The space was a far cry from my cramped Tempe apartment, a sunlit loft with exposed brick-wide tables for sketching, and a corner play area where Wren could toddle around while I worked. The LA agency contract, finalized right after Thanksgiving, had ballooned into a long-term partnership. They loved the spring campaign so much they doubled the order for fall, adding a national ad rollout. My revenue shot up 5 times what I'd made the year before. I hired designers to handle overflow, an assistant to manage bookings, and a bookkeeper to keep my head above water. For the first time, I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. Last month, I closed on a small house in Arcadia, a quiet Phoenix neighborhood with good schools and tree-lined streets. It had a backyard big enough for Wren to run in when she got older, a kitchen where I could teach her to bake someday. She was 18 months now, all chubby cheeks and wobbly steps, saying "Mama" in a voice that melted me every time. I'd watch her stack blocks in the living room, babbling to herself, and feel a pride that no family title could match. This was our home, built from my work, my choices, my love for her. The Taylor family, on the other hand, was falling apart. I didn't hear it directly. Every number was still blocked, but pieces trickled through mutual contacts, cousins who'd taken my side, a family friend who'd been at the villa that night. The house sale collapsed spectacularly. My certified letter and tenant rights claim forced them into court to prove the eviction was legal. It wasn't. Arizona law required a clear 30-day notice, and their family agreement didn't hold up when I proved I'd maintained belongings there for years. The judge froze the sale pending a full inheritance review, since I was entitled to an equal share under Grandpa's will. They burned through nearly $150,000 in legal fees and court costs, only to lose the buyer when the process dragged past closing. Landon took the hardest hit. His private equity firm got wind of the public dispute court records are open after all, and two major investors pulled funding citing reputational risk. His colleagues started whispering about the guy who'd tried to evict his own sister and niece for a quick payout. He showed up to fewer industry dinners, his LinkedIn profile gone quiet. I didn't feel sorry for him. He'd made his bed when he suggested child services as a backup plan. Mom's social empire crumbled too. Paradise Valley's elite didn't take kindly to family scandals, especially ones involving a grandmother berating her daughter in front of their own. Grandma Vera's outburst at the dinner spread like wildfire through country club circles. The charity boards Mom had chaired for decades, her pride and joy quietly removed her from their rosters. Invitations to galas stopped coming. A neighbor mentioned seeing her alone by the villa's pool, staring at the water, no visitors in sight. The woman who'd once orchestrated every room now had no audience. Dad stayed silent as always. Avery sent one email, a half-hearted "can we talk" that I deleted without opening. I didn't need their apologies or explanations. They'd shown who they were, and I'd chosen to believe them. Grandma Vera was the only one I let back in. She flew to Phoenix a week after Thanksgiving as promised, and spent a month in my guest room. We'd sit on the patio, Ren on her lap talking about everything but the villa. She rewrote her will, leaving her portion to me, and Ren directly cutting Mom out entirely. "Blood doesn't excuse betrayal," she said one evening, sipping tea. "You're my family now." I never responded to the family's texts, calls, or forwarded messages. No olive branches, no second chances. The cut was complete, permanent, a door I'd locked behind me. I didn't hate them. I just didn't need them anymore. My world was full. Ren's laughter, my team's banter at the studio dinners with Finley, and the crew who'd shown up when it mattered. They were the ones who saw me not as a failure or a scandal, but as Morgan, the woman who'd built something real. Looking back, that Thanksgiving wasn't the end of my story, it was the beginning. Some mothers give you life only to teach you one lesson: blood isn't a free pass to endure toxicity forever. You can choose better. I did. And every time Ren calls Mama, I know I chose right.